All right, let me share my screen here. So let's go through the ideal customer research. Now, you can either plan to succeed or you will be planning to fail. This is why we do the customer research. Have you ever heard the expression, "I'm in a hurry, dress me slowly"? A lot of people think that they're going to take off and create this overnight success. And the reality is, if you're trying to go that quickly, it's going to take you years to figure it out, because that doesn't work. You can't go reaching hundreds of thousands of people and just blasting them in order to make sales. So we've got to go slow and precise with this. In order to do that, we need to know how we're going to have these conversations, how we're going to build up these relationships. And the best way to do that is through our ideal customer research. So if you don't conduct your research, you'll have to rely on guessing and testing your messaging. I see this a lot with people running Facebook ads that are running 40, 50 different kinds of ads, and they're testing all these different messages and angles. And to me, it's exhausting. And so I'd rather just go to my customer and say, "Hey, what do you want me to tell you that's going to get you to buy?" And then they tell me what I need to say to them. And then I craft messaging out of that and draw in all of their friends to buy, right? So by the end of this 7-day program, I want you to have a system for proving your marketing message. This is part of the prospecting. I know we're talking all about prospecting, but this feedback loop that you're going to get into of having conversations with people and about your messaging is going to deal with a bit of inbound lead gen, a bit of messenger conversation. And so then taking what you've learned and putting it back into your inbound is a great way to prove your marketing message and your marketing angles, so that you'll know if a marketing campaign will be successful before you ever attempt it. That's huge. Most people have no clue. They just start spending money on ads before they're ever ready to be spending money on ads, because they're just guessing, and then they waste a ton of money and they're like, "Oh, Facebook ads don't work. Oh, cold email doesn't work. Oh, all these things, outreach doesn't work, blah, 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 blah." We want to prove our messaging. We want to know that when we post, that we'll get droves, just droves, or however, whatever. You'll get tons of people coming in right off the bat into booking appointments and raising their hands to get into conversations with you. Our goal is to understand our customers better than they understand themselves. This is done with doctors, right? When somebody walks into a doctor's office, they'll say, "Hey, doc, I'm having these symptoms," and he'll say, "Well, you have this problem, and here's what we need to do to fix it." Immediately, you've identified the doctor as the expert. We want to be able to understand our customers better than they understand themselves, so that we can explain to them their problem better than they understand it, which will immediately position us as the authority and allow us to control the conversation. And that's a big point to this. We want to be able to control the conversation. When we understand the problem better than they understand it, we know what to ask them to get them to tell us what it is we want them to say. We know how to control their focus. We know we're asking questions that we already know the answer to, and that allows us to control the conversation. We can control our prospects by controlling their focus. And this is really important. What you focus on is what is done by questioning. Okay, so I can ask you questions about what are you wearing today? What kind of socks do you have on? What shoes do you have on? Do you have anything in your hair? Are you wearing any accessories, any necklaces, anything like that? When I ask you these questions, you immediately start thinking about those things. I just controlled your focus. If you thought about those, then you're thinking about your clothing. Okay, so we want to control our customers' focus by asking them precise questions that get to the information that we want to know, and really get your customers to consider the things we want them to consider. We can control our prospects' focus by the questions that we ask. In the same way that a lawyer controls the narrative of the witness by asking questions they already know the answer to. The only way to do this is by doing your research. And that's what this video is about. So step one, finding your audience. For example, for this example, I'm going to use Facebook because right now they have the attention of most audiences. Facebook is, I think, 2 point some billion people load up Facebook every single day. It is, I hate it myself. I hate social media, I hate getting on it. I hate pulling up my phone and checking for things, but it's a necessary evil. It's one of these things that you should be going to Facebook when you know what you're doing and not just to put through the feed. So let's use Facebook. Let's, for this example, because it has more people coming and checking their messages than anywhere else. So this will apply to most niches. Now, if you think your niche is like, oh, I'm targeting business owners, blah, blah, they're still on Facebook. I don't care if you're targeting airline CEOs. I have still found them in Facebook groups. So I might not find a Facebook group full of airline CEOs, but I have found airline CEOs in Facebook groups. So remember, there's some version of your avatar. Everybody's just a person. Okay, I don't care if you're Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. They tweet and use social media just as much as everybody else. So they're not immune to it, is what I'm trying to say. There's a Facebook group for almost anything. So go find your audience in a Facebook group. This should be, some people should be doing this when they're deciding on their niche, really, is how can I access my audience? How can I find them? Where can I find them? Well, go to Facebook, go see if you can find. Now, you don't need to find an exact group that has, that's labeled, this is your ideal customer. Okay. I mean, if you're going for dentists, yes, you're going to find dental groups and just for dentists, just for doctors, just for chiropractors, all kinds of groups like that. But if you're going for, let's say, new moms, well, there's probably a Facebook group for that. If you're going for a specific type of business owner, say drywallers, well, there's probably not going to be a group for drywallers, but drywallers are still going to be in a subcontractors, general contractors, general construction group. You're still going to find them in those groups, okay? So you want to search for groups by problem, by solution, or by customer identity. How do they identify themselves? So look here, I've got dentists, ask a dentist, dentistry, or dentist. Now this is searching by customer identity. How do they identify themselves? And then I have, small business owners, more identity stuff here. Keep in mind, if you're doing, let's say, a health niche, you could be searching by the problem that they're experiencing, like overweight or autoimmune disease, or searching by the solution, dandelions for health repair. I don't know. All right. Now, join all the groups where your audience can be found. If you're unsure, join it anyway. The research portion will prove the group's worth. Make a copy of the buyer's emotional workbook. You're going to find the link below this video. Search within the group to gather responses for each section in the emotional buyer's journey. And I can show you that document in another video. Essentially, you want to search within the group for, yes, you can search for desire, want, wish, those specific terms, but you can also read into it and search for cold email, if that's a potential solution somebody thinks that they need. If they're suffering from Facebook banned account, that's a problem. You can actually search for the word problem, or you can search for Facebook banned account. So read into this a little bit, search by these things, and you're going to want to track which ones are getting you good results, which keywords are getting you good results. So as you can see up in the left-hand corner here, what is the most frustrating thing you deal with in your business? Now, I found this to have a lot of comments. And so I'm reading through the comments. I'm finding my ideal customers that are suffering from this. All right, so what I've done here, I've searched for some specific items, and I'm looking for comments that or posts that have returned good results. And what I mean by good results are that I'm finding my ideal customers. I don't care what they're talking about right now. I care to determine, is this a group that actually has my ideal customer? Are they actually talking about their problem or their solution or something? And so these are the kinds of posts that you can find that would show that to you. 25 comments to this one. Can't be the only one who's stressed about payroll. I don't know. I don't deal with payroll. Maybe you do. Are these, and the next step, once you kind of find your ideal audience, are they communicating problems that are in somewhat related to what niche you're in, right? Without being so stressed out all the time. How do I go out with my family without being stressed out all the time? I don't know. Here's a bunch of comments. Go ahead and this is the kind of stuff that you're looking for in these different groups to see if your groups exist in there. You're going to want to, when you find good groups, track them. You're going to want to document the responses from your ideal customers into the workbook that's linked below the video. Use some creativity to find good search terms. Also track which words and phrases bring up the best search results. Okay. So what I'm doing is when I'm searching for these things, I will find, okay, this term cold email brings up a lot of my ideal customer that's actually expressing problems with cold email. And so I'll take their expressed problems, I'll add them to my empathy map, and I will also track that group and say, hey, that's a group that I want to come back to actually do some marketing in because I found them in there. So you'll find that the groups with fewer daily posts produce 0 leads. I don't really care how many people are in the group. I don't care if it's got 100,000. I don't care if it's got 1,000. What I'm looking for is an active group. So 10 to, however many posts a day. That's what you're really looking for. Are you going to be able to post something and are people going to interact with it? Now, another way to look, if I see a lot of posts, I will start looking at the engagement on each post in the group. If I find that none of the posts have any engagement, I delete the group, I jump out of it and I won't be back. Okay. If the group has 0 engagement on the post, it will also produce 0 leads. Now, if the group is full of spam, it will also produce 0 leads. If the group does not have your ideal customer, it will produce 0 quality leads. You ideally want large groups like 5,000 members with regular daily posts and lots of post engagement. That would be ideal. That would be the best. Unmoderated are great with a hint of spam. Have found those to be just fine. The spam has actually benefited my posts. When people are posting all their crap comments on there, my posts will get seen again and again and again. So that's been fine. Moderated and paid groups, meaning like you have to pay to promote inside the groups, are really great too. Some of the best groups have been ones where they're super strict and require you to pay to market in them. You shouldn't spend endless amounts of time on finding groups, okay? Perfection really kills companies, entrepreneurs. Just pick 5 to 10. Do your research. Once you find 5 to 10, cool, go with it, all right? You can always be looking, but just at some point move on. Once you have a clear idea of the types of problems people are dealing with and what they think the prevailing knowledge is to fix those problems, then you can continue to the next section and begin developing your marketing message.